It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. It's time! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner.
Right there, hold on, right there. Boom, I faked him. Oh, whoa, that was, whoa. I'm back.
But Mike Basile, how you say his name?
I'm going to go home tonight. I'm going to drink a Coors Light.
Fighting out of the red corner.
I completely dominated that fifth round. That fifth round want me to fight.
From the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
It's time!
The number one MMA show in America. Caged in MMA.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, this is Caged in MMA. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Anthony Anderosi. As you guys know, you can reach us by going to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. You could also, guys, if you don't have it, download our app. How do you do that? You go to iOS and you put in WWSRN. And if you don't have iOS, you have an Android. And what you have to do is you go to the search bar in the Play Store and you put in Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And remember, you can call us at 631-965-4990. I want to apologize to all the fans. We had some technical difficulties before we started the show. So we started a little bit late, but obviously we have a great show lined up for you. At 6:30, who do we have on the phone, Mr. Anthony?
We have Jackhammer Champ, Mike Basile from Vamos.
So we're going to have him on the show. And then at 7:45, who do we have on the phone?
Ian Heinisch from knockout fame from UFC 250. Coming off a nice victory over Gerald Miscreant, first-round knockout. He'll be joining us at 7:45. So bonus, we're going to be running over a little bit over, but that's just more time for everybody to enjoy.
Exactly, and that's what we're here for. We're here to give you guys a little bit, take you away from your families and talk a little bit of MMA and boxing, combat sports, and have a little bit of fun with you guys. And that's what we're going to do on this show today, and we do that every single day. Anthony, what I really want to get into, and I see that we have a little bit of technical difficulties over here. I don't understand why that's going on, but Speedy, I want you to go look at the video feed right now going on the Facebook right now, because I think we're having problems right now. Anyways, I do want to get into the MMA that's coming up over the weekend, UFC 251. So why don't we get into that?
Sounds good. Well, after Gilbert Burns came up positive, now we have, and he passed all of his COVID tests from what was mentioned today after the weigh-ins. The BMF champion, Masvidal, is jumping in. So a lot of people wanted to see this fight. I know Masvidal was drooling over this fight and wanted it from day one over Gilbert. So now he's going to get his chance to see if he could hold up that and reinforce that Toys R Us belt that he's walking around with over Usman. So we'll see how that goes. Also, you have Peter Yan and Jose Aldo getting a much undeserved title shot with Peter Yan for the vacated title that Henry Cerudo, I think, is questioning why he gave that up and retired. But that's gonna be the co-main event along with Alex Volkanovski. Looks like you're not the only one who has a hard time with these last names.
I have a hard time with a lot of things, man.
Alex Volkanovski going over Max Holloway in a return bout for the title as well. It's a decent card. It's a decent card. It's going to be on Fight Island. They're going to be fighting right off the beach, which should be really interesting. You know what I mean? I'm sure you're going to see the guys with the push brooms pushing the sand out of their.
You know what I want to do? I want to take a push broom and really push Speedy out of this room. What do you think about that?
Okay, we're not getting into the Speedy thing today. We're not getting into the Speedy thing today. That's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, whatever. That's. But
this was what makes this show so interesting and so fun. Is like we can get into it and argue our points and make fun of people. So That's what I'm here, and that's what I'm doing.
There's too many people that I want, and Speedy, unfortunately, is not on the list for you. I'm sorry.
But I do want to get in UFC 251. Masvidal, who actually stepped in this particular fight because, what's his name again? Had to back out. Beck had to back out of this fight, obviously because of injury. You talk about Usman, and Usman is, right now, he's one of the best fighters in the UFC. This is a guy that completely dominated, and we saw the last couple of fights, and Covington, and I love Covington. I think he's a great fighter. I know a lot of people think that I'm taking shots at Covington. I think that he got his butt whipped by Usman. But in my eyes, he didn't get his butt whipped, but he completely got demolished, especially in the third, fourth, and fifth round. Mm-hmm. Now, when you look at this fight with Masvidal is a stand-up fighter. This guy loves to dish out the beatings, but he's also pretty good on the ground, believe it or not. A lot of people don't see it because most of his fights end up either him knocking him out or him getting knocked out or one of the other. But this is a guy that's a very good fighter, all-around fighter. He can take you to the ground. He can defend you on the ground. And in this fight, I think the advantage goes to Masvidal because I'll tell you why. The same reason why when we look at Ferguson and Gaethje. Gaethje was walking into a fight where Ferguson was training against Khabib. He was training to fight Khabib. And now you look at Masvidal. Masvidal is not Beck. He is not the same fighter as Beck. Beck is a good stand-up fighter, but he's not Masvidal.
You mean Burns?
I'm sorry, Burns. That's why I keep saying. That's why I asked you because whatever. But Burns is a good stand-up fighter, but he's not Masvidal. And Masvidal is a guy that has knockout power. He likes to go straight forward. He doesn't move backwards. He always goes forward. And that's why this fight is going to be very amusing because Usman is the same kind of fighter. He doesn't move backwards. He moves forwards. The question is Usman going into this fight ready to fight a capable fighter against him? And Masvidal has a lot to prove because he does have a made-up belt, a belt that nobody gives a crap about. And Masvidal wanted that big contract by the UFC. UFC gave him a contract. It wasn't the contract that he wanted.
But he's happy.
But he's happy with the contract. And I think the reason why Dana White gave him that contract mainly was because of this fight. He wanted to get him in that octagon. He needed a fighter to move in on that.
I totally agree.
And I think Masvidal got what he wanted because he absolutely stepped into this fight against Usman at UFC 251.
And quite frankly, do I see it as the same thing as that whole Ferguson Gaethje thing? No. Why? Because I feel like Burns was a tougher fight for Usman than Masvidal was, because Masvidal is coming off of, I guess we could call it, a viral fame. Because let's be real, a year ago, almost to the day, he knocked out Ben Askren with that freaking knee. But then again, it's Ben Askren. Mm-hmm. You know, he's got one win. That was as we always talk about with the whole Demetrius Johnson trade that they did. It was just the worst possible pickup ever.
Anthony, don't you think that looking at this fight, it's more interesting to watch Masvidal versus Usman than Gilbert Burns? Gilbert Burns is a veteran fighter. He's 33 years old. And by the way, I said Beck. I want to apologize to all the fans. I've had a very long day.
Week.
Okay,
You've had a long week,
and the fact that I'm still sitting here in this chair is pretty. It's pretty amazing. So I want to apologize to the fans because as the show moves on, I'll get more stronger with my speech and really throughout this show. But I think Masvidal, it's more interesting watching this fight against Usman than Gilbert Burns, because Gilbert Burns, even though he's a veteran fighter, he's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist who likes to take you down. He's not a big name. He really isn't. And Masvidal is a big name. He is a big name. And Masvidal wanted a fight like this. He wants the belt, and he has a lot to prove. If he wins this fight, he doesn't have one, but he has two belts. One belt that's a made-up belt, but he still has it. He still has a belt. So I'm interested to see how he's going to come out in this fight. Is he going to go after Usman? And is Usman going to be ready to fight a guy with the power and the strength that Masvidal can provide?
I think he will. I think because the one thing about Usman is a lot of times I feel in some regard people underestimate Usman, just like Tyron Woodley did. And we all remember what the hell happened with Tyron Woodley. And we're not talking – Woodley's a strong guy, a solid wrestler and such. Masvidal wanted this fight really bad, and Masvidal, quite frankly, turned himself into a little bit of the villain with all of the crap talking. As you were saying, yes, he's not. It's more commercially viable than Burns, because Burns is more of an under radar. He's very understated, very quiet guy. From a purist standpoint, a lot of people would like to watch that fight, Usman and all that. From a commercial standpoint, you want to sell pay-per-views, you wanted Masvidal. And Masvidal, if he ever wanted the money, he was in the best. Once that COVID thing came up, not that we wish anything bad on anybody,
Right.
the minute you saw the breaking news, he's out against Usman, all of a sudden he heard dollar signs, and it sounded like probably a cash register, just cha-ching.
Well, I want some dollars. So if anybody has some money, you can send me some money, because after all the money I've spent in the last couple of weeks, especially for the network, I could use a couple of bucks. So, John, who's watching us right now, Snug the Cat, anybody that's on, send me some money, baby. Send me some money. But I'm very intrigued with this fight, because I wanted to see Masvidal go for a big title fight, because I think the guy has got the power. I think he has the knockout power to knock somebody out. Usman he's an all-around good fighter. He's great in every single area. He's a good wrestler.
I still think he's underrated. I don't think he does. I still don't think Usman gets the credit he deserves as how talented he is, because of some of the matchups that he's had. I don't think, since right now, as we always talk about, the talent pool not having those big dynamic names like you used to when you would see a big division where you would have 8 or 9 knockout artists in one division. I feel like that he's almost like a victim of that talent pool, where after Woodley, there was Covington. Is Covington better than Woodley? Me personally, I don't think so.
No.
Now, what happens? When you beat the top guy and all the other guys are very inferior to that, or maybe a little bit lesser, you don't get that street cred, as you would call it. You don't get that street cred at all. And I feel like that's why he could get underestimated. He doesn't get really... And he's going to be the next champion that you're going to see, where he's going to have maybe a run. He gets past this fight. He's going to have another 3-4 title defenses.
Right.
And he's going to start complaining about the money. Let's be real. Why? Because Gilbert Burns and him, you know damn well Dana White, and plus it's on Fighter Island, this was the money-making.
What's up with this Fighter Island? I've been hearing about Fighter Island for the last couple of months.
It's a beach in Abu Dhabi.
So why do they call it Fighter Island? Do they fight every single day over there?
It's on the
Is it
beach.
street fights? So what's going on over
Fight
there?
Island. It's an island off by Abu Dhabi. It's on a beach. It's sitting out there in the middle of...
So what makes it so impressive, Anthony? I mean, because everything that we've heard...
It's not that it's impressive, but it's Dana White doing...
blowing things up?
I said the D word, I'm sorry. But it's him doing that, it hasn't been done yet, even though we've seen fights. If you go way back to the King of the Cage, we have had fights outdoors, or, you know what I mean, in California and such. But now it's on a beach, very Gilligan's Island-like, if...
Gilligan's Island. I loved that show. By the way, I don't know if
You didn't
anybody...
think I was going to say Baywatch, did you?
No, but I love Gilligan's Island. I love the skipper. I love the skipper, because the skipper, for some reason, always got the girls.
He was a big, cuddly guy.
No, he didn't. He never
big,
got the
cuddly
guys.
guy.
He never got the
Come on,
girls.
man.
He probably got the guys.
It's just the way it happens. Anyway.
Anyways, I think that when you look at this fight, and this is a pretty good
The fight card is
the
pretty
card
damn
is pretty
good.
damn
It
good.
is pretty damn
This
good.
is probably one of their best fight cards in probably the last 6 months.
I would have liked to keep it over in the Apex, personally, because I feel with this traveling, just like what happened with Gilbert, you're going to see a couple weeks from now, I think it's too much risk with spreading things around. When you start going, not that they didn't do a good job, because you saw on a lot of the video blogs and things like that, you saw how they kept everybody isolated and everything. So they did whatever they can do. But I feel like when you start moving a little bit too far away, things are gonna pop up a couple of weeks from now.
Well, I do like the fact that Cage Van Zandt is coming back. I've always been a big fan of Paige. I've been a big fan of Paige.
God.
What do you mean, oh God? You don't think she's a beautiful woman?
What the hell does that have to do with fighting?
Nothing. But at least it's something to look at.
What the hell does that have to do with fighting?
It's something to look at. What? I mean, if you're going to enjoy something, you might as well enjoy it when two beautiful women are fighting, right?
It's a fight.
It is a fight, but at least you have something to look at. And I actually enjoy
You have something
looking
to look
her.
at the fight.
Well, I like looking at the fight, but at least if you have a
page, you have like a page autograph somewhere or something.
No, I don't ask for.
Come on,
you know this. You know this.
I didn't say you. Asked.
I don't ask for autographs. I never do. If anything, they'll ask for my autograph before I ask for theirs.
Oh, Madonna me. Is this room big enough? Is this big room?
No.
Is this room big enough for the cranium expansion?
But I love the women fights on this card. I really do. Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo. I mean, Peter Yan, who is.
He's been deserving of this title fight for a long time. Jose Aldo, and I'll say it, and I've said it a million times, does not deserve this title fight coming off 3 losses in a row, where those guys went to title fights. Some of them won. In fact, Alex Volkanovski, who went against Matt Holloway, how did he get that title fight to take the belt away from Max? Mm-hmm. He went through Jose Aldo. So, you know what I mean? When it's all said and done, the gatekeeper to title fights is Jose Aldo. So now Peter can get a title just by going through Jose Aldo. There's not a knockout, it's either going to be one of those knockout fights or a very long 5-round fight where everybody's going to be double checking to make sure that the round wasn't really 10 minutes and it's still only 5.
I like that Rose is on this card. I like that
rematch.
Yep.
Remember, that's the rematch.
This is a really,
Jessica
really
took that
good
title
card.
from her.
This is a really, really good card.
Even the undercard has some nice fighters on there. Davey Grant. Davey Grant's fighting. He was from The Ultimate Fighter when Ronda and Misha Tate were going at it and stuff. All the way back from then, Davey Grant, real good fighter. He comes out of Wales. Who else? Vulcan, a former
we'll go over we'll go over the results.
I know
and
we'll
what
go
we think.
for picks, but for once, I mean, and I did like the last fight card. I know you.
No, I hated it.
I know you did.
It was absolutely it was horrendous.
I kind of liked it. Well, going into it, I kind of liked it.
Going into it, and then when we got to watch it,
I was like, hello.
It was boring as hell, man. I'm serious.
But this fight, you know what I mean, it has making some nice things.
So this card is great.
Could you imagine what happens? And I'll tell you right now, I don't know if he's going to, but I'm really pulling for Max Holloway because I feel like Max Holloway winning the belt back from Alex helps that division because then it's not one of those. Okay, now Max is slipping down the ranks. You have a little bit of you could see as you would call it, a trilogy coming up. Things can move around. I like it. I like it a lot. Peter Yan, once he goes through Jose Aldo, hopefully our Long Island boy Aljamain Sterling gets in there for the first title defense. Regardless of who wins, even if Jose Aldo sneaks out a boring ass decision, pardon my language, Aljamain's got to be next up. Well, he's not next up. He should have been in this fight. It should have been Peter and Aljamain.
Why isn't Aljamain on his show? Why doesn't he ever come on this show? I mean, he's been on every single other show. He's on every single other show but ours.
That's because Ariel?
Every single show he's been on. Aljamain has been on every single show but ours.
I don't know. Does he like you?
I don't know if he knows me. He knows you.
Yeah, but you got that problem with his coach.
Oh, get out of here.
You got that problem with this coach.
No, I have no problem with his coach.
You got that problem with his coach.
Well, who?
Remember, he's a Sarah guy.
So what? Ray Longo?
No, you don't like Matt Serra.
I don't like Matt Serra. I never liked Matt Serra.
That kind of puts a damper on things.
Oh, listen, whatever I have on Matt Serra has nothing to do with Aljamain.
No,
it has nothing to do with
Aljamain is he's been in the top 4 in that division for God knows probably at least 2 years, and he's been snubbed every damn month has gone by in those 2 years.
Well, hopefully he won't be snubbed.
He should have been. He got snubbed in this one. He should have been on Fight Island.
And he will be. He's got Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo. Whoever wins that fight is probably going to fight Aljamain. So Aljamain is going to get his title shot. He's
I'm just
got to keep
sick
winning.
of the Jose Aldo thing because honestly, how many more times
He's a big name.
How many times do you have to go through the? You could have still had ticket sales if you put Jose against somebody else not in a title fight. If he could sell tickets with the title fight, you know damn well he could sell them without it.
It's going to be very interesting moving forward when you talk about Jose Aldo versus Peter Yan. I like Peter Yan. I think he's a great fighter. And Peter Yan could beat Jose Aldo. As a matter of fact, I predict he's going to beat Jose Aldo. This might be the last fight of Jose Aldo's career. Because I could see him retiring right after the fight. Because this guy has not been a good fighter really since he's been knocked out by Conor McGregor. He has not been the same fighter.
No.
Not even close. This guy was one of the best fighters in the world. He went into the UFC undefeated. He had 3 or 4 fights before he lost that fight with Conor McGregor. He was a champion. So he has been a complete loss for the UFC, and I understand that Dana White is trying to find a way to bring these old guys back and give them a chance to win a title where he's a big name, he's going to be a draw.
It's kind of interesting that Jose is actually going through the same thing that Uriah Faber went through.
Mm-hmm.
What happened after Jose fought Uriah Faber in the WEC?
Yep.
What happened? Turned his leg into hamburger. Uriah Faber very, very much under the woodwork. And
he was never
the
same.
Never the same.
No.
He did have that one victory after a big layoff. Mm-hmm. He came back and had that one victory, a very nice victory. But when it's all said and done, now he's going through it, the phases. It happens. You know what I mean? Sometimes you could say, if you remember one time, he was in discussion for being the greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And that one win, that one loss, it messes with you.
Everything messes with you. When you get into a fight and you lose that fight, you get knocked out. There's only a few fighters over the years, Manny Pacquiao being one of them. Manny Pacquiao got knocked the hell out by Marquez. Knocked the hell out. If everybody remember, he was flat out dead. And then it came out, a lot of people believe Marquez was on steroids, which I believe he was. And that's why he got knocked. That's why Pacquiao, everybody said he was never going to be the same. It took a little while, and then Pacquiao is now on top of the world again. He's one of the best fighters in the world again. This guy's in his late 30s, going to be in the early 40s, and he's still a top fighter right now in his division. So there are certain fighters that have that heart and that could push forward and get another opportunity at a belt or be a superstar fighter that he's been over the last 10 years. And there are other fighters that once they get knocked out, they're not the same. And Jose Aldo is one of those guys. He has never been the same since he's been knocked out. And you look at Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, he got choked out, Khabib. And then he stayed away from fighting for almost 2 years. He was suspended for 9 months, just like Khabib. And then he decided to sit back and build his whiskey and build his brand, which he's done a very, very good job of it. And then he came back and he beat Cerrone. And now all of a sudden he's on top of the world again. So the question is, and we're going to get Mike Basile in just 1 second. We're going to go to break. But I will say this 1 second. My question is to all the fans out there, when you look at Jose Aldo, is Jose Aldo the fighter that everybody thought he was going to be, or is he going to be back in the ring against Peter Yan and be the fighter that I thought he should have been in the last couple of fights? When we come back, we are going to be talking to, go ahead,
Jackhammer champ, Mike Basile.
Here on the great Caged In MMA.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. It's time! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner.
Right there, hold on, right there. Boom, I faked him. Oh, whoa, that was, whoa. I'm back.
But Mama Babo, how you say his name?
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light.
Fighting out of the red corner.
I completely dominated that fifth round. That fifth round won me the fight.
From the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
It's time!
The #1 MMA show in America. Caged in MMA.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're always back. Every time I say this, over and over and over again, we've had a lot of technical difficulties today, but I'm happy that we're back. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have our caller, our first guest of the show. Hopefully, he hears us now. Mike Basile. What's going on, Mike?
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
It was all Anthony's phone. We tried to put you through on Anthony's phone. It didn't work, but
It's always my phone.
It's always
something
you.
else.
It's always you, man.
You know what the funny thing is? When it comes to technological problems, call it what you want.
like a dog over here.
Hey, listen, top dog, goddamn.
First of all, Team Gratitude. Everybody knows Team
You're
Gratitude.
really going to start this
Yes,
with Mike?
Mike. He's going to be wearing my shirt, not your shirt.
You sure about that?
By the time he's done with this show, I don't care if you're a referee. I don't care what you do. He's going to know.
I'm just a good person.
Is that what you call this?
I'm just a delightful person.
Well, I am not delightful. I am not delightful today, and you know why I'm not delightful.
No,
you know why I'm not.
No, you know.
I'll tell you guys, all the fans out here, I have been a prick all day because there's so much going on.
See that, Mike?
Well,
Mike,
it's true. It's true. I'm honest.
You want a T-shirt that says "Mr. Prick"?
No, Mr. Gratitude. You know what? Sometimes I wonder how we are partners, but for some reason it works.
Because it works.
It does.
Works. This show is wonderful.
Yeah, it is wonderful.
Wonderful.
Because
I'm
on it.
Should we go back in time? Should we go back in time to when you all the way back to when you were like this high starting this show?
Well, hold on one second. What are you talking about? Are you making it seem like I'm small or something?
No, I'm
Is
just
that what you're saying?
Well, I'm just saying you had some colorful people working with you on this show.
Kyle Carroll, okay?
I didn't say it.
I will.
I didn't say it.
I'll say it.
Well, I don't have to say it.
You guys know. You guys know what I feel. I'll tell all of you guys. Kyle Carroll and Kerry Stellar, every single one of them, and you can hear it. The only person I enjoy working with on this show, well, not this show, the other MMA shows that we had, is Mike Washington. I love Mike. Mike's a good friend of mine. He is the only person I enjoy, besides you, Anthony, when you're not pissing me off half the time. But then again,
hey, listen, when you do something great, why stop?
Well, you do something great. Hopefully it's not going to the bathroom.
Just so you know, we have a guest on the phone.
Okay, go ahead. Mike, what's going on, man? What's going on, Mike? Bobby Campbell's Jackhammer Promotions. Tell us a little bit about moving forward with everything that's going on with the COVID-19. There's a fight coming up. Tell us who you're fighting and where do you see yourself in this fight?
Well, to start off, Bobby Campbell's show, The Beatdown 3, is happening at Mulcahy's in Wantagh on August 9th. I think the doors open at 1 o'clock. First fight starts at 1:30. Awesome show, awesome promoter. I got nothing but respect for Bobby Campbell. You know, he knows how to put on a show.
Oh, stop kissing his ass. Stop kissing his ass. We all know. We all love Bobby Campbell. But I'm telling you, Bobby, I'm not going to kiss your ass. I am not. I love you, but I'm not going to kiss your ass. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Man.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good. The guy I'm fighting, Carlos Torres, he's been on the show multiple times before. He actually fought both of my last opponents, Mackenzie Hayden and Tony Oriema. Yeah, we're the main event, man. That's it. We're running the show.
Well, I run the show here, because everybody knows Team Gratitude is always ahead of Team Panda.
He may run the show here, but the reason why people watch the show is because of me.
Oh, get out of here. Get the hell out of here.
You can run the show.
Listen, everybody knows who is the speed of this show, okay? They know. They know what drives this show. Well,
yeah,
you drive it in a different way,
Yeah, with viewers.
Get out of here. So you're telling me that if you weren't on a show, there wouldn't be any viewers to this show?
We should have a vote.
Oh, man, you guys are like the odd couple.
We should have a vote. We should have a vote.
You want to have a vote?
We should have a vote?
We will have a vote. I will have Jillian and Ricky post it up on social media. Actually, you'll win. You know why? Because everybody will vote against me because they can't stand me half the time.
What does that tell you?
What does that tell you?
What does that tell you?
The fans know how I am, and they just can't stand the way I talk.
Maybe it's your voice.
Oh, my voice?
Your voice is not
now
very
you're taking
cheerful.
shots at my voice?
I'm not taking shots. I'm just...
Jeez, man. What do I have to do to prove my point?
You know what you have to prove?
What?
We have a guest on the phone.
Okay, let's go. Go ahead, ask the question, buddy. I mean,
so now dealing with all this COVID stuff and everything, what were you told, or what do you know so far going into it in regards to? Because we know people are selling tickets. We know people are selling tickets. We know people are buying tickets. Now, I don't have any 1,000% definites or anything like that. But the last time I checked, the Yankees don't have anybody coming to watch the home opener. So
I'll go.
What's going on with spectators and such? Is that a definite that these tickets are they just, or is it just when the time comes and we get the green light and all that? Or is it definitely a go with spectators? Or is this going to be just like the UFC where there's not going to be any spectators?
Well, this is pretty much how it stands right now. This is coming directly from Bobby Campbell, so he only gets the information that he gets like on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So one day the fights are on, next day it's a 90% chance. It's always up in the air as of right now because of this whole COVID thing. But for many of the people that are in the organizations, they're saying that this fight is pretty much going to get the green light. It's just a matter of the time will tell.
So the fight will definitely happen, but we're just right now waiting to find out about the spectator deal.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much what Mulcahy's is doing, they're going to be doing a 25% attendance for the event, just to stay with regulations with restaurants and the indoor seating and whatnot. So, as of right now, the only thing that would hold it back is the state. I don't think Thomas Gonzo or anyone of that nature would be able to, or not would be able to, would cause anything to stop this fight.
Mike, when you look at Bobby Campbell's fights, and I've been to a lot of them, and the guy is as good a promoter as is there any amateur fighter, I mean, any amateur organization out here in Long Island. I'm sorry. I'm reading what everybody is writing over here about me and giving Anthony. They're all Anthony's friends. That's what's going on here.
First off, it's not about my friends.
They're
You
all
know
his
these guys.
friends.
This is Joe Becker. He's a referee. You know these guys.
He's your boy. He's your friend.
You know him.
He's your friend. That's why he's attacking me.
No, but I mean,
I'm flabbergasted here.
No, he's not saying nobody's going to watch without me.
That's what he said.
No, he
That's
said
what
your
he said.
mother's going to watch.
My mother. That's the only person that's going to watch this show. Get out of here.
It's somebody.
Joe, you know what? Joe? When I see you next, I'm not even going to talk to you. I am so pissed off at you right now.
You know what he's going to say right now after you said that?
What?
Thanks for doing me the favor.
Well, I will do him a favor. I will completely ignore him just like I do to half the
going
people.
back, you got the champ on the phone. What is it with you?
I'm sorry, Mike.
Oh my
I'm
God,
sorry.
you're like the little. You're like the dog from Up, Squirrel.
What the
That's
hell?
what you just did just now.
All of a sudden, now you're gonna put me down and call me a dog?
No, I said you were like
No, you
the
just,
dog from Arrow.
You're calling me a dog.
No, you got distracted.
You just called me a dog.
Oh, man.
I mean, just saying.
You're a panda. I am not a dog, okay?
Cute, cuddly, endangered
I am
species,
team gratitude.
one of a kind.
Everybody,
I'll take it.
Team gratitude. I'm telling you, you got to be on this team.
Why are you begging?
I'm not begging anybody.
That's
I'm
what
just.
it sounds like.
Well, you know what? Anyways, Mike, getting into your fight and going into this fight, you talk about some of the great fighters we've seen on Bobby Campbell's cards. Tell us a little bit about this particular card and what fights besides your own stick out to you the most on this card.
Oh man, if we're talking just strictly the MMA card, or what are we talking here? We're talking both events he's got going on.
That's just it.
He does have Kickboxing Mania going on.
Yeah, tell us what on this card. What fights stand out the most to you? What are the fights that you see to be great? I know you're going to say all of them, but what fight stands out besides your own?
Honestly, the main event for the Kickboxing Mania, the Queen of New York Championship with Kelly Boyle and Paige, that's going to be an interesting fight. That's been building up since the beginning of the year. When they had the whole 8 women's tournament. That's going to be an interesting to a trilogy of fights. Not with Kelly and Paige, but just the road that they had to take to get there. Another fight that's on my radar too is Sergio Rivera fighting for the K1 title for Jackhammer. That's my boy right there. So I can't. There's nothing I can say about him. He's a good guy. He's an amazing fighter, and that's definitely another fight that's on my radar. I cannot wait to watch that one. I also got who else? I got Sosa and Ducos fighting for the ISKA title on the Beatdown 3. Ducos, I was there. He was actually there in my corner, or not in my corner, but he was in the same room as me when I had my first kickboxing fight years ago. And, the guy is, the nicest dude that could literally beat the hell out of you.
That was Joe Pulio show?
Yes, Joe Pulio.
Joe Pulio.
Yep, top kick, super fights, man. That was a hell of a time. And, it's but that, and just seeing him fight again, I haven't seen any recent news on him lately. So to see him jump back into the to the circle right now, it's absolutely amazing. And then also my boy Mackenzie Hayden, actually one of my guys that I fought against, he's also fighting against a guy named Hancho. That's gonna be an interesting fight to see because somewhere down the line it can fight Hayden, can fight his other guy Hancho, can get a rematch against Tony. We're looking at Victor Mana. We're looking at all these guys at our weight class. So
I'm probably predicting it right now, Errol.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you right now, do not be surprised if you end up seeing Hancho and Mike going at it.
What, before the fight?
No. After these, don't be surprised if one of the next bouts you see, probably for Mike or Mike Hancho, is the two of them going against each other.
Well, if that's what's going to sell and that's what's going to put fannies in the seats, that's what they're going to do. That's what Bobby's going to do.
It's a night. You know why? Because one thing that Bobby does, he keeps an eye on the matchups and how everything works with who's fought and whoever in the past and such. So in this case, you have Mike Hancho, who is the teammate of Tony, who Mike just last fought and beat, and he already beat Hayden. So now Hancho is going to be Hancho if he beats Hayden. Mike beats Carlos, that tells a story right there.
Well, I will say this. When I go to Bobby Campbell's fights, and it's very well professionally set up. Everything that he does is to a T, and that's what I love. When you go to McKay's and you walk right through, first of all, the structure and the way they built the new McKay's, especially in the back, back end, it gives you a little bit more room, especially
definitely compared to what you used to have.
And you have a place to eat too, so you're right on top of the stage where you can actually see over all the people that are sitting and standing on the floor. So I love the setup. And by the way, Bobby Campbell, he packs every single place out, every single show,
every time.
Yep,
every time.
It's incredible. It really is. It's an incredible feat. And the thing is I'm not trying to blow Bobby up, because everybody knows I am a good friend of Bobby's, and I know a lot of people like to push things to the limit. I love what Bobby does, not only with his product, but really him and Teresa, and how they professionally set everybody up and put people in the right direction in the right places. So I absolutely love what Bobby does.
I mean, Mike, and at the same time, Bobby's this is probably going on, 11, 12 years now.
Yep.
And I mean, let's be real.
I think it's 11 years now.
Probably 11 years now. You don't stick around in New York this long if you have a bad show. It doesn't work out. If you don't have that fanfare, if you don't have that support, if you don't have that loyalty with the teams and that type of dynamic in regards to the relationships that you build over the time and everything. 11 years, it's a long time. A lot of times promotions don't last that long. They'll either have to rebrand themselves, do something with their partners or whatnot. Bobby's been doing the same thing the same way for this long.
I just want to cut right in, because we're going to get in with Mike. But I will say this: the two people, when I started doing MMA and started an MMA show, the two people that accepted me before every single one of them, and I will say this: Bobby Campbell and Mike Washington, both of them accepted the fact that. With me, I'm an ex-fighter. I boxed. I did MMA. And a lot of people sit here when they listen to our show, especially when Mike did the show with me, everybody thinks that I'm just a boxing guy. I'm not just a boxing guy. I know MMA. I love MMA just as much as I love boxing. But I know me and Bobby have something in common. We both love boxing. We love it. And I think that what Bobby tries to bring to the table is not just MMA. He tries to bring you kickboxing and kind of like a boxing profile. He does boxing matches for his events too. So I love what Bobby does. I really do. I give him nothing but my utmost respect. And I think that this card, and what we were talking about the other day on the phone, that you said this is a very, very good card. The problem is, and this is what we're going to get into with you, Mike, is the COVID-19. I mean, we're hearing that people are still selling tickets. As you know, you were telling me this. People were selling tickets. What's going on with that? Are they going to have fans? Or is there going to be an audience over there at Mulcahy's?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the whole. I think I do believe that whatever the capacity is going to be, it's going to sell out regardless. But yeah, I do believe that there will be a fan base there. Since Mulcahy's is considered a restaurant, they are allowed a certain amount of capacity. So with that event being held at Mulcahy's and it being considered a restaurant, I believe that there will be fans in the stands. Absolutely.
Well, we shall soon see, because it seems like every day, it seems like pretty much when it comes to these phases and everything, something changes, something this, and hopefully the biggest thing is hopefully the fight card doesn't change, because we know that there's a small window there that it's a little bit, it's not like blood work. You have to get tested closer to the fight, a lot closer than your blood work would have to be done in a normal state, in a normal situation. So now. You could be walking around feeling great, never gotten tested or anything like that, no symptoms or anything. You had a great training camp. They swab you, you're positive. Mm-hmm. Everything changes now.
And then that's it. The whole thing is scrapped.
Everything changes now. So I mean, I'm sure there's
terrible.
A contingency.
That's what happened with Burns. That's what happened with Burns.
He was walking around, no symptoms, no symptoms. He got swabbed, and that was it. Now Masvidal's in
By the way, I don't know if anybody had a swab in their nose yet. That is one of the worst. Annoying things to get in your nose, and it has to hit your brain. They have to stick it all the way down your nose.
Waiting for it to pop out the back of your head.
It's terrible. It's a terrible feeling. Man. Oh, my God. They tell you to breathe in and suck it in. Suck what in? I mean, seriously. That thing is so annoying. It made me sneeze 6 or 7 times. I've had the swab done every single week. I have that swab done every single week at the hospital. It's annoying.
Oh, Jesus.
It is absolutely annoying. I'm getting used to it. I might as well do it on a daily basis.
I'm surprised you don't walk in with the 2 damn sticks just sticking out of your nose and just pull it out. Bye. I'm leaving.
Well, as long as you're not sticking the stick down my nose, I'll be fine with it.
Listen,
okay?
I adapt very well and I learn fast.
Oh,
my
you.
friend.
By the way,
I offered to cut your hair a couple weeks ago. You turned
forget
me
it.
down.
That has never happened. You will never touch my hair. I can't shave your hair. I could shave your beard because you got nothing on top of it.
Making fun now?
No, I'm not making fun.
See
I'm
the
just
type
being
of
honest
person
with
he
you.
is, see?
Listen, Mike,
Type of
I have
person
been
he is.
nothing but kind to this man and generous. Okay, me and him, it's like hot and cold. Okay, I'm the hot.
Oh, I've watched the show.
I'm the hot. He's the cold. You know.
Well, why I gotta be cold?
Why,
I'm
you wanna be
heartless.
hot?
Is that it?
Are you
A
saying that
heartless person?
you want to be hot? I'll be cold.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so I'll be cold.
I'm just going with reality. You just,
No, it's your reality. It's not my reality. It's your reality.
I'm just saying.
I'm saying that you're all right, Mike.
Sorry, Mike. I'm sorry you have to get sucked into this.
Mike, you're not getting sucked.
Everybody
into
gets
this.
sucked into this eventually. You know what I mean? It
Listen,
happens.
This is what's great about this show. I'm serious.
That's why I love this show.
We like to entertain people, and we want people to know that this is who we really are.
That's the crazy thing.
Yes.
This is not a character.
No, this is not character. When we go to
This is not a
break,
character.
this is what happens during break. We're always talking. We're always going back and forth, and then we come right back in, and we sit there like nothing is going on. Nothing happened. So
Pretty much.
it's an interesting. It definitely is an interesting show when you work with Anthony Anderosi. But anyways,
What's more interesting? There we go.
I knew he was going to say that. You see that, Mike? You see that?
457 times he said my name. He said it right 4 times.
I knew you were going to say it. That's why. But I do it purposely to piss you off.
You don't just piss me off. There's a whole bunch of Italians, okay, that get really upset.
Get out of here.
Get really upset when you destroy my name.
I'm not destroying your name.
They
I'm
get
just
so
giving.
upset.
Anyways, Mike, when you look at your career as an amateur fighter, and you have the opportunity now to continue winning at a high pace, and you have the belt right now at Bobby Campbell. Do you see yourself going professional as a kickboxer, MMA fighter? What are your plans in the future? And do you see yourself moving forward in MMA or kickboxing?
Absolutely. That's the whole end goal of this whole thing. When I first started training years and years ago, realistically, I wanted to get back into the cage immediately. I don't know, not many people actually know this story about me, but back in 2016, I was still in high school at the time, and I've had the idea of fighting since I was in my freshman year, even younger than that. When I was in middle school, I always wanted to fight professionally, and without really any formal training, I wasn't training at my gym yet at Vamos at that time, and I actually got on Triton Fights, Nick Cabanio's fight for KTFO back when it was in St. James, and I didn't have a gym, didn't really have any formal training. I just wanted to get in there and fight because I knew that's what I wanted to do. But ever since then, I got my ass beat the first round against this guy, Brandon Pizak. Him and I are actually really good friends now, which is very funny.
Hold on. What is his last name?
Brandon Pizak.
Pizak? Peon Zach?
You really?
Pizak, yeah.
Are you 6 years old?
I'm just saying. Pizak? I mean, come on. That's a crazy name. Could you?
Hey, bro! Don't talk shit about him. He's got a hand like a bear.
God,
big ass paws.
Listen. I'm just speaking the truth here. My last name is Marks. You know what people used to call me in school? They used to call me Skid Marks. Okay, so all right, so Peon Zach. I mean, that's an interesting name. I'm just saying. What are you covering your eyes for? I'm just being serious here. This is who I am.
Oh, man.
This is who I am, guys. This is what I am.
Honestly, you're like the little kid in class when, the first time you're in health class and you hear the word homosexual, and everybody goes, ooh, your eyes just lit up, and he was like, peas. Were you 5?
Now we're bringing different sexualities on the show? What the heck?
God. Well, you brought in bodily fluids. What the hell, dude? I mean...
He just said Pizak. I didn't know what he said. I didn't know it was a name. I said Pizak. I mean... I thought he said Peon Zach. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. So back when I first fought, I got my ass kicked in the first round. Ref stopped it. Back then, it was actually about 245 pounds. I was a big boy back then, and I didn't know about the whole weight cutting thing. I never came from a martial arts background either. I didn't do any striking when I was a kid, no boxing, taekwondo, nothing of the sort. The wrestling, even back in like middle school, high school, I never did any of that. So when I first started training, it was almost like I was just an infant. Like I had no idea about anything that I was getting into. And my first love was jiu-jitsu. But I always knew that the end goal was going to be professional, MMA. I did do a couple of kickboxing fights because, my school is, they have a certain criteria that they want me to meet before I step back into the cage. But with that, no, the whole end goal here is to get to the UFC and get to the top of that mountain as well. I want to become UFC world middleweight champion, no matter what. I know that this is going to be set in stone for me, and I know this is what I want to do at least for the rest of my life. I'll fight as long as I can, and then give back to my community afterwards. Open up a school, do my own thing, but give back.
Over there at Vamos, Alexander, if everybody doesn't know, he's probably, I've always said there's only maybe 2 really, really dynamic Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools in New York, not just Long Island, but in New York. And he's definitely one of them. Over there, they do a lot of stuff, trial by fire. They push for a lot of activity in regards to competition and such. You've already had how many fights? Around 9?
In total right now, counting kickboxing and whatnot, I've had about 7 fights total.
You've had about 7. At what point, where's that threshold where where's that big evaluation point of saying, we're going to take it to the next level? Because, a lot of people get crazy with I haven't had a undefeated record and this and that. When it comes to amateur stuff, if you're fighting somebody tough, it's all about repetition. It's all about learning. It's all about getting better, get it out of the way in amateur and all that. It's not like we're talking about, in your case, you know what I mean? You have a decent record. It's not like the kids that are 1-15 and then they say they want to go pro. Not saying any names. But at what point is that threshold? Where's that kind of checkpoint where you think you guys are going to make that decision to go pro?
That to me, honestly, that's up to my coaches. I feel as if every day I'm always getting 1% better. My training partner, a good friend of mine, Ryan Dorina, I think you guys may have known him. He's the champion over at Triton Fights.
Mm-hmm.
Great fighter.
I know Ryan.
Awesome guy. Yep. Oh yeah, love that guy. He said something to me that really resonated. He's saying, just get 1% better every day. Don't rush things. Just let things come the way that they are. And to me, it's really up to my coaches. One day we'll have that sit down, we'll talk about it, but I really do believe that will be in the future and that will be determined, but it's going to happen regardless. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Didn't you enjoy, so far in this show, besides, Errol's banter, haven't you also enjoyed that you haven't had one stupid question asked to you yet? Besides the peeing thing.
God.
What are you trying to
I'm just saying.
Well,
no, he's been on shows where they ask the stupidest questions in the world. And if there's a fighter or a coach out there, we know which ones they are.
Anthony's taking shots at somebody.
I'll take as many shots. There's a lot of shots. Okay, point blank. If you're a journalist or anything and you look at a fighter and say, so how do you see this fight going? I dare the next fighter who gets asked that question say, I'm going to lose. Who the hell says things like this? So why the hell would you ask the question? Do you feel, Errol? Do you feel confident about the next fight? No.
And I know who you're talking. I know who you're talking about.
There's a lot of them.
I know who you're talking about.
There's a lot of them.
I know who you're throwing under the bus. But I'm not going to say anything.
Under the bus. They throw themselves under the bus with stupid questions.
I'm not going to say anything.
So, Mike, let me ask you something, Mike. Do you feel confident about this fight, Mike?
Absolutely.
Oh, there's some shit I didn't. Pardon my language. I didn't know what was coming. Never saw that one coming. Speedy, honestly, we need to make a clip of this one and put it on YouTube because this is a game changer right now.
Speedy's sitting on his throne right now, just wondering what the hell he's doing here. So.
Oh, my favorite. So let me ask you something about your next fight. Yeah. So how are you going to attack him? That's another good one that I'll enjoy.
Well, why would anybody give any information coming into the fight? Nobody would do that. Nobody would do that.
But let's ask.
Well, a lot of people are anticipating this fight going to the ground, obviously, because he has a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, so do I. He's got a wrestling background. I do not, so he feels that he will have an upper hand as far as that goes. But I'm going to take every opportunity that presents to itself because I may be the one holding the belt right now, but I'm still fighting as if I'm getting into that spot. So,
nice.
You know, I'm not. It's not going to be like a Yoel Romero, Israel Adesanya kind of fight where I'll win just because the other guy didn't do anything. No, it's going to be a scrap. It's going to be fight of the night. But you know, it's when the opportunity presents itself for me to either punch him in the face, knee him in the stomach, take him down to the ground, wrap his arm around his head, and beat the piss out of his face, then hey, you know, that's the way it's going to go.
And I mean, Carlos is a very fundamentally sound striker.
Yes.
You know, and he doesn't. I mean, he's had some tough fights. He's gone against, just like yourself. You guys have both won against some decent competition. So would you say? And I'm just asking. Would you say that this is probably one of your top two opponents that you're going to be going against so far?
Yeah, easily. I
Okay.
can easily say that. Oh yeah. But you know what? That's the thing, though. It's like just about that. It's, you know, every fight is a challenge. Whether it was my first kickboxing fight, or even when I was just on the mats for jiu-jitsu, when I did my first competition, a good fight. You know, it's just everyone always presents a little something different than the last person. So it's like, you know, every fight there's always something to worry about. But you know, with him, it's just another fight. To me, it's more or less just, you know, building my career and have something to look back on when it's all finished.
You know what I hate, Mike, more than anything? I know you're the main event, but the problem is that there's so many fights in front of you. And then after the fights, all the different fights go by, more and more people leave. And nobody really gets to see the main event, which is the best fights on the card. Does that bother you? It bothers me. I'm not even fighting. And I'm standing there all the way to the main events, and I'm waiting for the last three fights. And slowly but surely, it went from a packed place to slowly disintegrating from people to people to people to people. Does that bother you?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. I'll fight in the back alley. It doesn't really matter. Nobody
Good
has to
answer.
be there for me to fight anybody. You know, if we can get it on at a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, bro, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But, you know, it is a different aspect, seeing, like, even, like, in the UFC fights. You know, there's guys who are fighting in the Apex Center now that only have their coaches and some refs and, you know, the ring girls. That's it. You know, it's definitely weird from seeing from, like not a stadium, but, like, an arena where, like, 20,000 people be just subsidized down to, like, 30 people in one place. You know, it is definitely weird to not have a full crowd, but again, none of that ever matters to me. And the people who actually worry about that shouldn't be fighting in the first place. If they're worried about who's going to be at the fight more than the actual fight itself, you're not a fighter, bro.
Hold on, Mike. Now I know you know everybody likes to take shots. Now I'm not saying that you should care. I'm saying that it does bother me that people pay $50, $60 to go and see these fights. And they see their friends fight, and then they leave. When the best part of the card is at the end of the fights. I mean, that's what everybody can't wait for. The last 3-4 fights are the best fights on the card. Hence the reason why the main event. That's why they call it the main event. Why do they leave? That does bother me. Maybe it doesn't bother you as a fighter, but as a skeptic, as a press guy, and a person that goes and tries to enjoy the fights, I want to see the best fights on the card. Why are you leaving knowing that the best fights are at the end of the card? To me, I understand what you're saying as a fighter, but me as a person that enjoys the fights, I'm going to stay there and watch all the fights, especially the ones at the end.
I absolutely agree. And you know what, just as much as I'm a fighter, I'm also a spectator of the sport as well. I've mentioned this to people before that, you know, I absolutely love everything about this sport. Even like watching boxing, kickboxing, just every combat sport that's out there, I always try to watch the entire event. You know, but you're right, people pay good money to watch it and then leave after their buddies are done. It's like, you know, it just, I'm not saying that the fans are bad because they're not. They're coming out and supporting the show. They're supporting the fighters and whatnot. But it's definitely like, it's almost like buying like a Big Mac and then like throwing out the bun and then like throwing away the pickles and the tomato. Oh, I'm just going to have this. This is what I really wanted. You know, it's like you're not getting the full thing. You know, you're wasting all that money for nothing. I think that people, it's tough. It's a tough one because, you know, people go there to support their friends and then that's it. A lot of people like to support their friends, but they don't support local MMA. And I think that's a huge problem because, you know, a lot of these guys don't train. A lot of these guys don't know what it's like to do the weight cut, go through an 8-week fight camp and spar all these rounds and roll all these rounds. And it's, that's a tough one to answer because a lot of people just care for their friends more, which is not a problem to me, honestly. It's like, again, I can fight and I can sit in an empty arena and watch fights all day, but you will have those people who just bought the tickets and don't know any of the fighters. Mm-hmm. So it really, that is a really tough question to answer, actually, now that I'm thinking about it more.
That's why I asked it. And I will say this. You mentioned Long Island and the fighters out here on Long Island, and it's incredible how big the sport is out here. Everybody talks about all the other sports. Hockey's become very, very big out here with some of the big-time draft picks we've seen. Last year, there were 6 Long Islanders drafted in the first 2 rounds. And you look at the NBA, you're looking at Harris, you're looking at all these different kids that are coming out of the NBA getting drafted. And then even the NFL, there were 3 Long Islanders drafted in the first 5 rounds of the NFL draft. So when you look at guys like Chris Weidman and all the different MMA fighters that come out of Matt Serra, and how far they've gone, not only in the UFC, some of the guys coming from Bellator, do you see Long Island the place to be when it comes to MMA fighting?
Absolutely. There's a hotbed of fighters out here with magnitudes of talent that just you can't find that anywhere else. The kind of just a dynamic that Long Island fighters bring. You would see that like maybe with Mexican boxers. Those guys are entertaining as hell to watch because they never quit. And it's just. Long Island is definitely the place to be if you want to be a fighter. There's definitely a lot of great schools out here to get you jump started to get your name out there.
So how many how many trainers and owners have paid you to say that?
Nobody at all, actually.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just trying to stir up. Everybody, if anybody actually watches this show, this is who I am. I stir up trouble on this show. That's what I do. And if you guys want to punch me when you meet me, that's fine. I was a fighter too, but I'm cool. I'm outgoing. But when I'm here, this is my sector. And when I talk sports and I talk MMA and my thoughts to the growth of MMA here on Long Island, me and Anthony talk about this all the time. Not just Long Island, Queens, Brooklyn, the 5 boroughs. It's incredible when you look at some of the talent that is growing over here and some of the different schools. It's really and the big schools out here in Long Island. You know the names and as well as the names out in Queens, Brooklyn, and Manhattan, and even Staten Island. There are a lot of big schools throughout this tri-state. When you look at some of the fighters like Frankie Edgar, and by the way, I'm a very good friend of Frankie's, and we've talked about this over the years of the growth of MMA, especially out here on the East Coast, not just here in New York, but all over the East Coast. You're talking about Florida. We're talking about New Jersey, all the different places out here. What is your thoughts to being that you're a fighter, you want to be in the UFC, and what's going on with this COVID-19? What are your thoughts to the thought of some of these Long Islanders moving forward in their careers, not only in the UFC, Bellator, and some of these undercard organizations right now, the bare knuckle or tournaments that they have right now, Mike Tyson, coming out of retirement to fight in the bare knuckle tournaments. What is your thoughts to the upcoming fighters now here in Long Island? And give us some names, because you know a lot of fighters. You've seen them on the cards. What are the fighters that really peak to you that you see the upcoming fighters that are going to get an opportunity in the UFC, bare knuckle, or Bellator?
Just to name a few right off the bat, Alpha Tor, who's actually fought a lot of times on Bobby Campbell's promotions and whatnot. He's definitely a fighter to look at, especially coming from where he came from, and now he's here on Long Island mixing everything up. And he's in the city too. I remember he's from Brooklyn, fighting out of there, and he's a hell of a fighter to be around. There's another guy, Jason Downer, Jamaica Funk. That's my boy too. That dude is like on another level of talent and sheer just absolute power out of that man. Watching him fight. Who else we got actually? Guys from like No Limits, guys from like Long Island MMA, and then high school of Vamos. It is absolutely a hotbed, and all these fighters, everyone brings something to the table, which is insane. But there's actually a lot of fighters. Another guy that comes to mind, Andrew Stock, as well. He's an animal. That guy's a fucking beast when he's fighting out there. There's so many names to name. It's unreal, man. But all these guys, like, thank God I'm friends with some of them, because holy shit.
Well, what are your thoughts to Mike Tyson coming back and getting into the bare knuckles? I mean,
oh my God, I'm praying that we see that.
Well,
that is going to be like, don't get me wrong. Like, I've had my criticisms about like BJ Penn coming back, Chuck Liddell coming back, and stuff like that to fight Anderson Silva. Even though Anderson Silva, he's still in pretty good shape and held up a good fight against Israel Adesanya. That
was a pathetic fight, by the way. Pathetic.
I don't know, man. I got my entertainment's worth out of that.
Israel, and I had a lot of respect for Israel, but after his last two fights, absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
Yeah, especially that Yoel Romero fight.
Yes.
I can't forgive him for that.
Pathetic. He should be. Anybody that paid to watch that fight was didn't get their money's worth.
We paid to watch that fight. Oh my God! Like we rented it while in my brother's room. We all watched and sat and watched that fight, and I'm like, wake me up when the fucking fight ends. Like, what is this?
I remember because after the fight, Anthony texted me and said, "This is the guy that you like. This guy," because Anthony don't like him.
I don't.
Anthony don't like him. So, and I liked Israel. And then going into that fight, I was like, oh, he's going to kill Romero. I thought he was going to kill him. And then all of a sudden, you're watching the fight, and believe it or not, Romero held his own. And Romero, really in the later of the bout, I thought Romero had the last two rounds. I thought Israel was pathetic. He looked like a man versus, a boy versus a man. That's what it looked like, and it was pathetic. And I think the UFC, and I've said this over and over again, and I'll say it again, the UFC needs to find the next big superstars. They don't have them on their cards right now. I'm sorry. And we have a great fighter coming on the show in just a few moments. I think we have him at 7:45 in the next half an hour. And he's a big-time fighter right now. He's moving up. He's a ranked fighter right now in the middleweight division. Yep. He's ranked 13th. And he's a good friend of, actually a family member of a friend of mine. So I look at the UFC, and Dana White needs to find the right product. And unfortunately, going around the country with Matt Serra is not going to sell us the product that you're trying to bring to the table. I'm sorry, it doesn't sell. It doesn't sell to me when you have Jose Aldo, who hasn't fought a good fight in 5 or 6 fights. He's been absolutely pathetic since the Conor McGregor knockout, and he shouldn't even be fighting a title fight. He doesn't belong there, and it to me, and we've said this over and over again, Dana White in the UFC only puts out a product that he likes, not what the fans want to see. And that's what I got to say about that.
I agree. There's time and time again when you see some fight matchups that really don't make sense. Like, they will make sense on paper, but it's definitely not what the fans want to see. I mean, and it goes back to the whole the Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson. Why did Tony Ferguson have to defend or even fight again for an interim title?
Love you. I love you, man.
First off,
team gratitude.
No,
team gratitude.
I was screaming about that. I'm like, why the fuck does he why does he have to defend it against Justin Gaethje? And don't get me wrong, Justin Gaethje is an incredible fighter.
Yes.
Both those guys are, but it's like, Tony's been there, and I get it. They've been trying to book that fight 5 times. But at the same time, it's like, I get it, but at the same time, I don't want to get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't
2
like
weeks. 2 weeks to train against Justin Gaethje when he was training for Khabib.
Mike, just so you know.
Exactly.
Mike, just so you know, okay, this is another little, baptism into unfortunately being on this show that everybody's got to deal with because,
I love you already, Mike. Me and you are pals.
He thinks
team gratitude.
He thinks you just proved a point. He thinks that you just proved a point that he keeps pushing.
Team
His
gratitude.
point is not the fact. His point is not the fact that
it is a fact
that he not only should not have been defending the belt against Gaethje, but he feels that the fact that he lost,
he shouldn't have fought.
That he lost.
Yeah, he shouldn't have fought
against Gaethje. Okay, that it was basically a setup for Ferguson.
Absolutely.
When Ferguson agreed to go in there.
He agreed to go in there, and we've said this over and over again.
Nobody put a gun to his head.
He agreed because he needed the money. The guy has not been in the octagon for over a year. The guy needs money. He's running from aliens, okay? I mean, seriously. He needs the money. He's got a child, and he's got a 5-year-old child, a 4-year-old child, and a wife, and he's running from aliens. He needs the money.
There's a perfect way of him
How?
being able to get
what
he
is it?
wanted.
What is
he
it?
He could have
Anthony?
just said no and held everybody.
Get out of here,
fire.
Anthony.
You're telling me Joe's no.
He's a fighter, man.
No.
He'll fight anybody that's in front of him.
Then I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
No, you don't want to hear it, but he threw himself under the bus fighting a guy 2 weeks before
So
the fight.
he went in
when
there
one
knowing
guy
he was gonna
ran
lose.
from him
He went in there
to go
knowing
over
he
there
was
to
gonna
Russia.
lose. You're crazy. He went in there knowing he was going to
crazy.
lose. You're crazy.
I am crazy. I am crazy.
You are crazy.
Crazy listening to you half the time.
He went in there. Oh, boo-hoo! He lost. So if he
Boo-hoo.
won, he would have, went over all these obstacles and persevered and
Wait,
please,
hold on. How do you know?
can't have it both ways.
How do you know he was going to say
You
that?
can't have
you
it
know?
both
Were you hanging
ways.
out with him? Did he tell you he
lost.
was going to say that?
If he did, listen. If he knew he was getting set up,
Come on,
he
Anthony.
shouldn't have
Are
fought.
you
That's
seriously?
it.
He's a
Perfect
fighter.
example.
He is a
How
fighter.
do you think Masvidal got this contract?
How did he get his fighting
How did he
Usman?
get it?
He's
But
fighting
before
Usman.
that, you're telling me, okay, because he wanted his money. Burns is out. Dana White knows that the only fan fight that was going to be made is if you threw Masvidal in. You're telling me through negotiations, Masvidal didn't say, "You want me to fight? Give me my money." Ferguson could have did the same thing.
Here's the thing. He got his money. He still got his money. And the problem is right now, you're looking at Ferguson. Ferguson went from the number 1 contender all the way to number 5. Okay?
Yep.
This guy went from 1, and he's been the number 1 contender for over a year and a half, 2 years. He has deserved the opportunity to fight for the belt. He got screwed by Dana White because Khabib had to go home. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to Khabib's father. May he rest in peace. I'm not taking shots. I swear, I'm not taking shots at him as a son and as a family member. So shout out to Khabib and his family. My heart goes out to him and his family. I know what it is to lose a father. I lost my father 4 years ago. So, and he was a big part of my life and moving forward, it kills me inside. I don't know how he and when he's going to get back in the octagon with this kind of loss, but it's a shame what happened. But again, he went home. He ran from the fight a week, almost 2 weeks before the fight. And what did Dana White do? This is what Dana White did. He said, listen, I got an opponent for you. I got Justin Gaethje. That's what I got. I got Justin Gaethje. So, unfortunately, Justin Gaethje, who I think is an unbelievable fighter. He's a great fighter, power striker, everything. Ferguson wasn't ready for the fight. He didn't train for him. He trained for Khabib. He expected the power of Khabib, not Gaethje.
If you're a champ, you should just be able to adapt.
Oh, get out of here.
That's be able to adapt.
That's great. As great as a champion.
Be able to adapt.
First of all, he's not
happen.
the champion. Khabib is the champion. He wasn't the champion.
This was not for a belt?
No, it wasn't.
Yes,
that
it was.
That was a fake belt. Everybody knows
Interim
the champion.
belt. It was for an interim
Get
belt.
out of here. We talk about the interim belts. The interim belts are crap.
First off, the reason why
It's crap.
I'm saying this is a title fight,
It's crap.
We've said this also. The reason why this is a title fight, how long can the champ not defend his belt?
Well,
Right?
ask Khabib
so,
that.
guess what?
Ask Khabib
This
that.
is a title bout.
Now, a title bout for
This
what?
is a title bout.
Because they're
You got two guys that want to fight for a belt.
All right, so let me ask you
One
a question.
guy didn't.
Ferguson wins that fight, right? He's got the interim belt, right? Am I right? If he won
Right.
that belt, he's the interim champion.
Correct.
He fights Khabib. Who's walking out with the belt?
Whoever wins.
Who's walking out with the belt?
Khabib.
Who's the champion?
Khabib.
So to me, that interim belt means absolutely nothing. Moolah. Yeah, nothing.
It pretty
nothing.
much
It
it's
waters
not
it
even
down.
glorified-
You've said it waters
it's
it
a
down.
glorified number 1 spot. That's pretty much all it is.
And he got screwed for that spot. He got screwed.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Ferguson. I really do. Because we're never going to see Khabib versus Ferguson. You said it and I said it, so
No,
don't
we're not.
say it.
No,
we're
we're not.
never going to see it.
That's not gonna
because Khabib does not want to fight Ferguson. I've said this, and
Because
I'll
with
say
all
it
these
again.
Fight Island fights, and as much as they're turning these fights around and everything, in regards to how, some of these guys have fought, 3 weeks apart already? Mm-hmm. And with all of the, activity and how quick they're rotating these guys in, you haven't heard one thing about who are they matching up with Ferguson? Who are they matching up with Gaethje? Those things have not been said yet. Mm-hmm. Not even in question, not even a rumor. With all the schmucks that they have, Helwani and all those other guys, you don't hear even a rumor or a peep or anything. Mm-hmm. So, as of right now, what are you going to do?
What are your thoughts, Mike? I want you to honestly don't listen to him over here because he's going to try to persuade you
I'm not persuading
to
him.
agree with him. Okay?
No, but
now,
you want to know
now,
something?
Hold on.
You're asking a very good guy. No. Look at the situation he's in right now.
Hold on.
This is a very good
No.
situation
Don't throw
that
him
you're
under
putting
the
in.
bus.
I'm not throwing him under the bus.
Don't throw him under the bus because
I'm
I know
not
how
throwing him
you
under the
are.
bus. Somebody has to get swabbed before they have to fight him. And if that person, God forbid, I'm not wishing anything bad, something doesn't play out, and now there's a vacant spot across from him a few weeks from now, couldn't we say that that's ultimately the same situation as Ferguson is? Or was? So now let's ask Mike.
No, Mike. Mike, he's trying. You see what he did?
They bring a new guy in. You fighting,
You
Mike?
see what he did, Mike? You see what he did, Mike?
They bring a new guy in. You fighting?
See that, Mike? He tried to persuade you to agree with him.
I asked the question.
No, you're trying to.
No,
you're trying to draw him to agree with you.
Why are you getting to the who could speak louder?
Listen, it's the truth. It's the truth, and you know it.
You asked him, the champ. You asked the champ.
I'm asking the champ. The
If
champ
they
was
bring a
agreeing
guy
with me.
in, let's
Now
say
all
they
of a
bring in
sudden
a
you're
guy-
going against me.
Let's say they bring in a guy that he is not prepared for. Is he fighting?
Go ahead, Mike.
All right, sorry. Repeat that question just one more
No.
time.
Here's the question. He's saying that if you were fighting somebody and you weren't the champ, and somebody else, no, you were the champ, and the fighter had to walk out because of COVID-19. And somebody gets put in, a guy that you didn't train against.
Like a last-minute replacement.
Last-minute replacement. Would you fight him?
That really goes back to my coaches, but honestly, I'd still fight. I wouldn't care. I'm the kind of guy that wants to fight anywhere, anytime. Doesn't matter to me.
Now,
but
and Ferguson did.
It's a tough situation. It's a tough situation. It's definitely a conversation that needs to be talked about. Like me personally, I would love to fight anytime, anywhere.
Now, Mike,
I'll
Mike, I want to cut in before you say anything because now I'm going to persuade you on my side. Okay. Okay. So now you're saying, well, you can go back and forth. Now you have an opportunity. Okay, you're the number one contender. You've been waiting for this opportunity your whole life to get this opportunity to fight the champion. And then all of a sudden, the champion decides to go to Russia. And then all of a sudden, you get a replacement, a power puncher, a guy that has nothing to lose in a Justin Gaethje to step in the octagon and whip your ass, okay? Pretty much whipped his ass because he had no business being in the octagon with Justin Gaethje. He was completely abused, okay? Now, knowing that, and then all of a sudden you went from the number one contender when you had a chance to fight Khabib and make all that money all the way to the fifth contender. Okay? All the way moved to fifth. Now, let me ask you this question. If that happened to you, would you have fought? Honestly, would you have fought?
Honestly, with everything that fucking Tony Ferguson risked, I wouldn't have taken that fight. I wouldn't have. I really wouldn't have.
There you go. Team gratitude.
There you go. What?
There you go. Team gratitude.
What are you talking about? Ferguson fought.
Let me go ahead and explain this one. In my situation, if that were to happen to me, again, me personally, I don't care. I'll fight anytime, anywhere. It goes back to my coaches. That me personally. But if I'm Tony Ferguson, I'm 36 years old. I've been fighting guys since I was 20 years old. He's been in the game for so long, and he finally gets an opportunity, but it gets taken away from him. Me personally, I'm not going to risk that. He's already won that spot. He's already secured that spot. To have it all taken away on a chance, because every fight's 50-50. Does not matter. Doesn't matter if it's against Khabib, who's never lost a fight. It's just, you don't risk that. When now he's back in the fifth spot, exactly like you said. He's back in the fifth spot, and now he has to fight his way back at 36 years old. How many more years does this guy have? And I get it. He's fucking insane. He did 2 weight cuts. He did 2 water cuts, and he cut weight for a fight that didn't happen. It's like, this guy's insane. I can say he's going to fight till he's 45.
He tore his ACL. He tore his ACL, didn't go to physical therapy, didn't go to a doctor. He trained himself back. In 6 months, he got back in the octagon. I mean, seriously.
This guy's insane. But me personally, if I was him, I wouldn't have taken that fight. I know it's a fight that a fans want to see, and I know it's money in the bank for him. But it's the risk and reward is way too high off of my own chart to be put in a position like that and then have it just taken away from you completely. But I also do think that I have a little conspiracy about this whole thing. Whether it's even if he won or lost that fight, he's going to fight Khabib anytime down the road with a title fight in mind. And I think this, if it's, just Gaethje obviously won, and then Justin Gaethje fights Khabib. Khabib wins, okay, Tony's next in line. Doesn't matter. They've given guys who are the 3rd or 4th ranked spot, 5th ranked spot, a title shot anyway. So it happens before, so it's not like it's a brand new thing. Justin Gaethje wins, you have the rematch right there. If Khabib doesn't want to get back into it, you have the rematch right there for a title shot for Tony Ferguson. Now, it might not make the fans happy because everyone wants to see Tony Khabib, but you still get a great fight after all, and you still do right by Tony Ferguson. It wasn't right to put Ferguson in that situation against Justin Gaethje, but you still have, and that's exactly what Dana White wants. He wants that setup where if it's Justin Gaethje beats Khabib, great, I got a rematch. Tony beats Justin, or I'm sorry, Khabib beats Justin, then great. You know, we can schedule this fight again. You know, it's either way, Dana still wins. So it's set up perfectly for all three of the fighters to get what they want.
What worries me is the whole Conor McGregor, you know, and everybody says,
Jesus Christ.
The whole Conor McGregor lagging behind because he is a big name. As much as he says he's retired, he is not retired. He is coming back and he's fighting. Yes, he's fighting.
No.
He is fighting.
Yeah. That's the one thing that bothers me because he comes back and fights Don Cerrone at 170 and then immediately calls for the 155. It's like you just can't you can't do that. You just did it, and I get it. He brought the entire, he brought all of Ireland to the UFC essentially. But it's like just because you have that name and yes, you get to pull strings, but it's like, really, is it right? Is it right for a guy like that to take a year or two off after he lost to Khabib and then just come back and be like, I'm back, where's my title shot? Like no, that's bullshit. I don't care who anybody is.
Ticket
sales.
That's his
immediately
thing.
Just bullshit.
Ticket sales, it's a business.
Unfortunately, it is. It's all about the business.
It's all about business. It's about putting asses in seats and selling hot dogs and beer.
Listen, you want to put a McGregor fight together? There's a perfect opportunity out there right now. Unfortunately, he dropped weight for a fighter who, unfortunately, is sick and pulled out. But they could have easily made a nice fan favorite fight of putting him up against Frankie.
Oh my God,
that fight on so many levels would have, even if it was not for a title bout, I think just from a fan standpoint and just to sell even more tickets, considering how many gates frickin' McGregor has, this will just be another one that'll probably move another slot. Frankie Edgar and him, I'm telling you, that right off the bat, that's an immediate sellout. But unfortunately, right now, no spectators.
Yeah,
but I do think there is some truth to what some people say that some of these matchups are being held back until we could get spectators in. I do believe that.
Oh yeah. You think Dana White wants to miss out on a Conor McGregor?
You're basically taking a discount.
You're
giving everybody a coupon. You're taking a discount. Is ultimately what happens.
You like the discounts. You like the discounts, right?
Who the hell doesn't like discounts? You like spending excuse me, Mr. You know what I mean? Well, you like spending money?
No, I spend a lot of money coupons? For some reason.
You like coupons?
I don't use coupons. I don't say
you use them, but you don't like some kind of discount?
I like discounts. I never get them.
I'm just saying.
I never get a discount.
You're not going to take it?
No. If somebody offers it to me, I'll take it.
So then why are you looking at me like I'm a lunatic?
But you like the coupons no matter what. You'll find them.
I'm not stupid. What the hell? I want to save my money. Who the hell says I want to piss my money away? The same guy that says I'm afraid to go in and fight somebody when asked, how do you feel about that fight?
Well, it's also the same. What is
Those are the guys that like pissing their money away. Stupid people like that.
Oh, you were just about to say another word.
I know, but I've been so good on this show of not cursing.
You have. Man.
I have.
And you didn't use the word you know yet, so that's a good thing.
No, a couple of times.
No, not a lot.
A little bit.
Not a lot. Now all of a sudden he's going to say, you know.
You're breaking the seal on me. You're breaking the seal a little bit.
If I'm breaking the seals, go to the bathroom or something, man. I don't know what you're doing.
I'm too lazy for that. But these seats are so comfy.
So wait a second. You're going to piss in that seat right now?
How do you know I didn't already?
Man.
Oh, God, man.
I'm watching the live stream, man. Don't do this to me. Come on.
Well, if he does piss in his pants, guys, I'm taking a picture. I'm posting it all over social media. So
that's just even more reason for people to just come over this way.
Come over which way?
Exposure.
Which way?
Just give me more exposure.
Well, wait a second. You want people to come to you so you can piss on them?
No, I didn't say that.
You just said you come. More people come this way.
I didn't even say that.
Man,
you're
just graphic today.
No, but you want to give somebody a golden shower, then you give them a golden shower.
What is it with you pee? The guy with the peeing, the mic guy with the
You're
pee,
the one that just said to come this way.
And all that stuff. I didn't say anything about come this way.
Wait, yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
I mean, come on, Mike. Did he not say that? Did he not say that?
Words in my mouth. I can't pick sides here, man. I'm sorry.
He might be reffing your fight, so you better be careful.
I am not reffing his fight. fight. I know that. I am not reffing this fight.
I could dominate every round. He'll write on the scorecard. It was 10-7 Carlos every round.
Oh, yeah. If Anthony's in the ring now, knowing that he's my partner, you see me on the sideline saying, "Anthony, you idiot! You idiot!"
You'd be the first spectator ever thrown out of a New York amateur event ever. You'd be breaking more records than you would believe.
Oh my God, Mike, aren't you happy you joined us on this show today?
Oh, absolutely. This has been such a great honor being on here.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate you joining us, and we really expect a big time fight and a big turnout over there at McKay's, and really what you bring for Long Island fighters and the growth of what Long Island fighting is supposed to be is amazing. And I've approved everything that we have done, not only for this show, but some of the people that we've interviewed. And we try to give this show, we want this show to be the showcase of the next big fighters. That's what we want. We don't need Khabib and Ferguson or Conor McGregor on the show because, to be honest, Conor won't come on the show because me and him have our differences. So we do. Over the years, in the last 6 years, since I started, 4 years since we started the MMA show, Cage Den MMA, me and him have had our differences because of Kerry Stellar. His fight team has not only threatened me, they told me if I ever step foot in Ireland, they'll bury me 6 feet under and nobody will ever find me. That's what he said. And also, he said that, actually, I got pictures to prove that they put my face in almost every single pub in Ireland. And they actually took pictures of it. And, almost 3 years ago, they were throwing darts at me.
Was it during Halloween?
I don't know.
They need something to scare things away.
Well, what is that supposed to mean?
Just saying.
I'm just being honest with you. This is
I mean, you mean to tell me you're never going to be going to the Temple Bar?
Oh,
Jesus Christ, that place is awesome.
Mike, I'm going to Ireland. Nobody's stopping me, and Conor could kiss my ass, okay? and I have the Irish Mafia behind me, so don't worry about that. A little prick, I swear, man. I can't stand him, even though a lot of people I know in the business have told me.
Did you just say Irish Mafia?
Yeah, Irish Mafia.
You just took an Irish word and an Italian word and put it together.
But there is an Irish Mafia.
Okay.
Well, do you know he's in trouble with the Irish Mafia, right?
Whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
Is that what you're calling it?
He is. Yes. He actually owes the Irish Mafia some money, actually. So there you go. There you go. I mean, I can't believe you didn't know that.
Know what?
I mean, Mr. I know everything, Mr. Panda Bear over here.
I do know everything.
Well, unfortunately, I hear this every single week, every other week, okay, Mike? This is what I deal with.
Because just like my name, you haven't gotten it right yet.
Andriossi.
I know everything.
Andriossi. I know how to pronounce your name. Just like I know how to pronounce Speedy Petey, who's sitting over there in the corner wondering what the hell he's doing.
No, it's not about Speedy.
What?
It's not about Speedy today.
What is it about?
That you have that on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
Oh, so it's about Anthony Andriossi.
You're damn right.
I pronounced your name wrong.
You're damn right.
Whatever.
Mike, thank you for joining us, man. We're looking forward to your fight.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much for having me on here.
Absolutely, man. We really appreciate it. Why don't you give a shout out to all the fans that are listening to the show and tell everybody how they can find you on social media.
Oh, all right. So I got to give a big shout out to my teammates, my coaches over at Vamos MMA. Best guys around, best school around, can't compete. Got to give a shout out to my family, my friends, everyone in Riverhead, everyone across the island, across the country. I got family in California. I got my aunt out there, so got that. And I got a shout out to my beautiful girlfriend, who's my biggest motivation in this whole thing. So
she's sitting right next to you,
to
like giving you a death stare right now when you're saying that, right?
And,
like she was waiting for the name to finally come up, and now she just gave you that wink, like, okay, you're going to live today.
She's poking me with a prod right behind.
I knew it. I knew it. It took too long to come out. I guarantee you she was just like, you know what I mean? It's about freaking time. And then when you hang up, you're going to be like, I wasn't the first one. That's what's going to happen.
She's got a paddle with his name on it.
You're going to hang up the phone. You'll be like, I wasn't first. What's up? I wasn't first. I'm sitting right next to you and you still forgot me? What the hell? Uh-huh.
You know what I have to deal with when I have to deal with him? Who knows what he has after the show? He's going to whip me with a belt or something.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, man.
He's talking about me over here.
I don't know, man. With everything with you, I'm kind of lost.
What?
I'm kind of lost with you, man. You're the one who wanted. You told us today that you want to give everybody a golden shower. I don't know.
The fact that you know the proper term for that scares me.
Say it.
Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. You guys can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube, and Wow, actually, holy crap! I think it's just Instagram and YouTube right now. For Mike Basile MMA, and that's how you find me. You know, I usually post stuff every day, every other day, try to keep updates and whatnot. So, you know, I'm very active with the community that I have. So.
Do you want to thank your girlfriend one more time?
Go ahead, do it one more
time.
time.
Might as well do it one more time, dude.
You can actually follow her, too. She's got her own business, man. You got to follow Schools of Thread on Facebook.
Schools of Thread.
There you go. That's the bonus.
She sew or something?
That's the bonus.
Oh, she does sewing and alterations, custom dresses, everything. She's the best on Long Island, no doubt.
There you go. You could get your dress altered.
Dress? Get out of here, man.
Just saying.
You can wear your muumuu. How's that sound?
Whatever. 50 shades of Errol Marks over here.
50 shades?
Whatever.
Mr. Golden God. Mr. Golden God over here.
Enough said.
Anyways, Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Mike Basile, great interview, by the way. Great
Thank you.
interview.
I really, oh my God, you guys are hilarious.
Thank you, man.
Oh, man, I knew I was going to have a great time getting on here.
Well, we're happy, and we want to get you on after you fight, my friend.
Absolutely. I'll be here.
Absolutely. Mike Basile, ladies and gentlemen, great interview. Up next, go ahead. Up next, who's our next guest?
UFC's premier knockout artist, coming off victory of UFC 250 over Gerald Miskrant, Ian Heinisch.
Here on the great Caged In MMA.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. It's time! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner.
Right there, hold on, right there. Boom, I faked him. Oh, whoa, whoa. I'm back.
But Mike Basile, how you say his name?
I'm going to go home tonight. I'm going to drink at Coors Light.
Fighting out of the red corner.
I completely dominated that fifth round. That fifth round won me the fight.
From the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
It's time!
The #1 MMA show in America. Caged in MMA.
And we are back. As you know, this is Caged in MMA. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, Anthony Andriosi. As you know, you can call us at 631-965-4990, and you can follow us by going to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Anthony, why don't you do the introductions?
As we said before, coming off of a ridiculously vicious knockout in UFC 250 over Gerald Miskrant, we have Ian Heinisch.
What's going on, Ian? Ian, you there? What's going on, Ian? How are you?
Good.
There we go.
There we go. We almost lost you there. How you doing, man? How you feeling? I know you had eye surgery about a week and a half ago. How you feeling?
So I'm doing great, man. You know, I actually didn't get the eye surgery done. I just had my pupils dilated, and I was supposed to get the surgery done, and you know, the cornea, I guess, wasn't shaped it wasn't healed enough from 18 years of wearing contacts. So that's scheduled for next Friday. But I'm good. I had a good fourth. I spent time with family. We were in Nebraska at my wife's ranch. I'm back in town. I'm going to start boxing again on Monday and getting back into it.
Ian, the last knockout you had with Gerald was insane, and I mean, you're known as you're a two-time All-American in wrestling, correct?
Correct.
So, is it like a new love now to just throw these bombs at people and to just end things a lot quicker compared to just taking it to the ground and going for something that you've always had this history of?
Yeah, you know, absolutely. I've had my taste of knockouts on the regional circuit, and there's nothing like a knockout. You know, it just ends the fight quick. You don't get super exerted. The rush, the crowd goes wild. Everything about it I love. But I started to try to just be a striker, and you know that's where I kind of messed up, and I feel like that kind of messed me up in my last few fights. Instead of using my wrestling actually set up those big power hands. I have tons of power in my hands, but if I get the guy thinking about wrestling, he's going to drop his hands when I hit that level change, and that opens up that big right hand, which got me the knockout.
As you guys know, we're talking to UFC fighter Ian Heinisch. Now, Ian, we've talked, we've texted, and I see what you are as a fighter. You're 14-3 as an MMA fighter, professional fighter. You're ranked 13th right now in the middleweight division. Where do you see yourself now after having that unbelievable knockout? Who's up next? Who do you want to fight next? Do you have a particular fighter, or you want to fight whoever's in front of you?
Yeah. Coming off those 2 tough losses, I climbed the ranks really quick. I got thrown in the lions that basically every single person I fought in the UFC is ranked, except my last fighter, Gerald, and he has a super long pedigree. He's had 20 fights in the UFC. He's a vet. He has 1 second submissions in the UFC. But just getting that confidence back and just kind of falling into my own and getting more comfortable in that UFC stage. Now I feel I'm ready to continue to climb the rankings. So I was supposed to fight Brendan Allen before I injured my knee, but that was kind of a money fight. That was kind of a quick decision just because of COVID. There wasn't many American fighters ready to fight, so I was going to take that fight with him. I figured it'd be a quick paycheck. I know he's a tough kid, but I just don't feel like he's near my level. There's a big difference between ranked UFC fighters and just guys who've had a few fights in the UFC. And but now I have my eyes set on someone like Uriah Hall or just anyone ranked. I just want to continue to climb the ladder. The goal is to be a world champion. To be a world champion, I just got to keep climbing the rankings. So I hope to fight someone who's ranked next and an exciting fight. So that's my options.
Ian, as you said, you've just not just in the UFC, but even leading into the UFC, you've always gone against these heavily, touted contenders. Even when it was Contender Series, going against Justin Sumter, who was a highly touted prospect that you went right through. Now, as you said, the Brendan Allen was more or less for a quick turnaround, because it seems like with this COVID thing, there's a lot of this quick turnaround stuff going on where you see fighters coming in and flipping after probably 3 weeks or not even a month, which is a very quick turnaround. I think everybody knows, especially when it comes to fighting in the UFC. But even now, while you're recovering, has there been any talks about possibly, instead of this quick fighter, just turnaround thing, have you spoken to anybody in the UFC about possibly getting that next higher level contender for the next fight?
Actually at the moment, we just got to see how things play out. Like, there's a lot of big fights coming up. We got Brunson fighting Shabazi. We got Yoel Romero fighting Kevin Gastelum, I believe. No, he's fighting. Is it Kevin Gastelum?
Yeah, they're fighting Gastelum. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a ton of big fights coming up. So the middleweight division is going to be shifting and moving. It's just all about opportunity, man. If someone falls out and you're ready to go, that's a great opportunity to step in. That would be ideal. Someone, a high-profile fight, like Jack Manson or someone like that, and maybe his opponent falls out a week before, and I'm ready to step in. Obviously, I gotta continue to rehab my knee. I gotta get back into shape, and I believe within a month to maybe 6 weeks, I'll be, at that point where I could take a quick turner, I could take a short notice fight, and so there's nothing really, there's no names right now per se. It's just we're just standing by watching the middleweight division, the top 15, and just seeing how things unfold. And it's just getting me ready as soon as we can, so I'll be ready for an opportunity on a short notice fight.
As you guys know, we are talking to UFC fighter Ian Heinisch. Now, Ian, I've looked at all different fighters. They fight in all different weight classes, and you're a strong fighter in the 185 division. When you look at your strength and your ability and really cutting weight, do you see yourself maybe cutting weight and being a 170, fighting a welterweight division where you can dominate with your power and the ability that you have as a wrestler? Do you see yourself maybe moving down the weight because you'll have a better chance of getting a title shot?
No, not at all. I've always, cut weight my entire life, and I always found I did better when I wrestled up a weight. And I guess like you could call me a smaller middleweight per se, is I'm not as tall as these guys, but that's where my power comes from. I'm stocky. I'm a little bit shorter. I'm 6 foot. But I'm built, and the weight cut at 185, I'm still cutting close to 20 pounds. So to even think about going down, another 15, I would just lose so much muscle, so much, muscle that I've worked so hard to get, and it would just hurt me so much, man, that I would never consider it. I've never really felt like any guys like ragdolled me or were even really much stronger. I mean, Omari Akhmedov was probably the strongest guy I faced in there, but in the third round, I was throwing him around. So, he wore out. So there was really nobody that I felt like, man, these guys are too big for me. So I like to be a little bit shorter because it's easier to get under guys, and it makes it easier to fake level changes and throw that right hand up top, which got me the knockout my last fight. So I would never probably go down to 170. And if it's not broke, you don't fix it. So I think I'm going to stay right at 185 for a while.
Did it irk you? And I know the Usman Masvidal fight and Burns had to drop because of the COVID-19. Did it irk you that Masvidal all of a sudden moved all the way up from, I think he was ranked fourth, moved all the way up to fight Masvidal? Fight Usman. And did anybody reach out to you if after Burns dropped out to ask you if you wanted to fill in for Burns?
No. I mean, honestly, they're only going to ask. I mean, this is the biggest fight card ever. Really, it's one of the biggest fight cards. And as I am ranked number 13, but I still am not that big draw that they're looking for. I still got to build a name for myself. I'm very young in the UFC, and I'm getting to that point. But they're looking for a top 5 fighter, and they're looking for someone who's fighting at 70 or possibly even 55, because they know an 85er walks around 200 pounds. So for me to be able to drop in a week 35 pounds-ish is way too much. So they're looking at only 170-pounders and possibly even 55ers, just because, those guys would be more apt to be able to make weight. And, hats off to Masvidal for staying in shape, staying close to weight, and he just made weight this morning, and I'm so excited to watch these fights tomorrow.
Now, dealing with the recovery and stuff, with all the COVID stuff and everything, what is the game plan going forward in terms of the training camp and such? Is it just to pick up as if, or is there any type of alterations with your camp?
Yeah, so it's been such a roller coaster of a life lately. At first I left my longtime gym, Factory X.5, where I came up in, and just because I needed a change, I took those 2 losses, and I just felt God calling me to Thailand, and I went out there for a 5-week, just kind of a getaway to clear my head, and I just fell in love with it, the coaches, the training, the lifestyle, and it really helped me isolate. I do a lot of stuff, like I seek the schools, I seek the rehabs, I share my story a lot, and I was kind of being pulled in so many directions that, to be the best in the world is something. You've got to fully focus and put your energy into that. And as much as I love giving back to the kids, to the high schoolers, to people that are just getting out of prison, mentoring all these kids, I felt I needed to kind of isolate for a little while. So I actually went out and started my first 2 weeks in camp. I was supposed to fight May 16th, and then the COVID hit. I came back to the States. My wife was here, and we weren't fully moved to Thailand. And, I didn't want to go back to my gym because there was just a little tension there with me leaving, and I didn't kind of want that, hey, I just left, but now I'm coming back, but I'm going to leave again. It just didn't seem like it was a good fit. And I found, I started training with Nate Markforth, my longtime training partner, and trained with some guys from Elevation Fight Team out here, and just a dream team of a group, about 6 of us who just were brave enough to train for the COVID, and 2 brave coaches. And it was like the best training camp ever. I was the only one fighting. All the attention was on me, and the partners were super consistent, and it was just the best training camp ever. And then, obviously getting to the fight, losing the fight on Thursday because one of my corporate tested positive for COVID. That turning out to be a false positive. Getting a quick knockout, slipped on a high, but then getting a fight in 3 weeks, and then first wrestling practice back, carrying my MCL. And so it's just been up and down, and we're renting our house actually July 1st. We have renters in our house, so we're moved out of our house. We were supposed to fly back to Thailand July 7th. The Thai consul will not let us in, so we moved it back to the 17th, and now we just moved it again to August 12th. So,
oh, my God.
Honestly, man, like, it's just been a roller coaster, and I'm just trusting in God that, you know, he's got this plan, and I'm just kind of going with the flow, man. I can't make any plans. I really like training with Jacob Ramos over here at Genesis and Peter over at Easton. But, you know, I'm trying to get back to Thailand, and now I kind of think I like to switch, you know, split camps. Like, maybe if I'm fighting at Fight Island, have my coach out here come out for the end of my camp, or if I'm fighting in Vegas, I would come out to Denver for the end of my camp, get that high elevation training, and combine the coach from Tiger Muay Thai and Genesis. And I think that's kind of my plan moving forward, but I have no timeline of when I'm going to be able to go back. We're shooting for August 12th. If that doesn't happen, we'll probably just stay here and take another fight in September. So, you know, it's kind of a long story that I just gave you, but that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. So I honestly have no concrete plans, but that's kind of the direction I'm headed. So there it is.
Oh, man, you're all over the place, man. And you want to go back to Thailand.
Yeah.
Oh, man. As you guys know, we are talking to UFC fighter Ian Heinisch. Now, Ian, we are funny guys, and what we do on this show is we want to bring the next upcoming fighters, not only in the UFC and Bellator, we want to be the voice of the next big superstars in the UFC. And me and Anthony have argued, when you look at the UFC right now, there is no next big superstar. We've gone through some of the rankings, and we argue the points. And I look at you, and you're 14-3. You've been pretty dominant. Your record states it for itself. When you look at your career and moving forward, do you see yourself as a champion in the UFC? Do you see yourself as a moneymaker, a guy that could sell to the community, sell to the world, and put fannies in the seats?
Yo, absolutely. You know, I think it's been a little, it's taken some time to catch on, you know, just because of me coming in and fans like to see knockouts, you know. My fan base and everything has grown so much from this knockout. But I didn't get a chance to come in and highlight reel 3 or 4 guys before I got a ranked opponent. You know, I came in and they threw me in the Shark Tank. I took a six-day short notice fight against Cesar Ferreira, and you know, I went in there and it was a war, and I'm fighting these top level guys. But now I'm finding my own in there, and I feel like I can continue to knock people out. And just my story of going to prison and you know, overcoming addiction and you know, being a fugitive on the run in Europe and spending time in Rikers Island, you know, and coming out and being able to be a champion. I feel like I can be a huge inspiration, and I'm just going to stay original, man. I feel like I kind of have a little bit of a path, kind of like Masvidal. I don't think it'll take as long for me to get the hype around me, but I'm just going to stay original. I'm not going to, you know, go out of my lane and talk a bunch of shit like Conor McGregor or, you know, that's him. I'm going to be me, and I'm an inspiration. I've dealt with some crazy stuff in my life, fighting in a cage with a ref that's going to pull you off. You know, if it gets too bad, is just nothing compared to what I've been through in my life. So, I'm going to bring that prison mentality into the cage, and I'm just going to try to put on pure violence for the fans and inspire people, man, because that's what it's about. You know, I've had a ton of people help me out in my journey to elevate me where I'm at, and I want to do the same. I mean, like Zig Ziglar says, you can have everything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want. And, you know, I want to give back, and I want to be that inspiration. And I truly believe in a year or two, everyone's going to know my story. It's going to be a movie. It's going to be a book, maybe a documentary.
I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
I'm going to have that hype. So that's my answer to that.
Just remember, Ian, and we argue about this on this show all the time. when you're ready, man, I'm going to send you a shirt that says Team Gratitude. I'm telling you, you're going to be part of my team, not this guy over here. You're on my team because we are all inspirations. This guy over here is not an inspiration. I'm an inspiration, okay? So just let you know, you're going to be on my team, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. Just so you know, Ian, okay, this is how easy it is to flip sides
Oh, God. Don't
on
listen
somebody
to
that
him,
has
Ian.
nothing.
Don't listen to him, Ian.
No, I'm going to bring this up because this has been bothering me a little bit. As we all know, there's a publication out there called Fighters Only. Fighters Only has the MMA awards out there. Now, one of them is Knockout of the Year. Quite frankly, I'm a little upset that they went a little crazy with the nominations and they didn't put some people in there that was deserving. One of which we could honestly say is, you heard him say yes already. Why the hell are you not one of the nominees?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of politics, man. I'm navigating my way through these waters. And, I'm excited. I'm going to be getting on Food Truck Diaries with Brendan Schaub and hopefully on the Joe Rogan podcast. And once people know my name and my story and who I am and what I represent, I truly believe I'll be a household name and a brand for the UFC. So they're going to get behind me, man. It just takes time. You gotta keep getting these knockouts. You gotta move the needle when you fight, and in order to do that, you gotta get your story. I have the most original story. I have the worst criminal record in the UFC, and for someone like me to be able to go through what I did and be able to come up and get the UFC belt eventually. That's a huge testament of just will, God's grace, and just determination. So, it's coming through, man. It's all due time, and it's God's time, and I'm navigating these waters as we speak.
As we said once before, we don't argue it with each other, but we do argue the point since probably we started this show that the UFC lost the ability, or they've just downplayed the ability that they once had of bringing the up-and-coming fighter and educating the fans out there of the up-and-coming fighters and such. That's why we take such pride in having you guys come in. Just like a few weeks ago, we had Maki out of Hawaii come in after his knockout win. And now we're bringing you in and such because we feel like there's too much, as you say, political sense with the, I'm sorry, I got to say his name.
That would be some fight, him and Maki. That would be him. That would be a great fight, him and Maki.
You know what it is? Unfortunately, I got to say the name. Unfortunately, you got the Ariels and the Bretta Rock pose.
Oh God!
Who they only spend time on out there if you win. You know what I mean? They don't give a rat's ass about who the hell's out there busting. And here's the thing: that's where the UFC is going to really hurt themselves because you guys are the ones that are coming up in the next 5-10 years that are going to be carrying the organization, not the fighters that don't deserve title shots that they're recycling the names. And, did I just give it to Jose away? Yeah. So, you know what I mean? How do you feel about that? I mean, I'm not trying to, get you in trouble with the boss or anything, but how do you feel about the exposure that you guys get as the young talent coming in?
I mean, they pick their favorites, like Sean O'Malley. They love this kid, and it's cool, man. Like, it is what it is, man. For me, it's just it gives me more determination. It fires me up inside, and it makes me work harder in the gym. It makes me want to just really just end someone in that cage, just so you can get your name out there, get your point across. So, I believe they try to do the best job. They have a ton of fighters on the roster, and there's a ton of talent out there. So, for me, I just look at it as, hey, it's time to work harder. It's time to keep getting knockouts until they just can't deny you anymore. And that's what I've started now. And I got this first knockout. I was about to get a second knockout, but, things happen. It's this sport, man. You can get hurt real quick. Your next fight will be your last fight. And so you just got to look for opportunities. Like they were arguing, is the UFC, is it a career or is it an opportunity? Because Dana White says it's an opportunity. So for me, I'm just going to keep working harder, and I'm going to get to the point where they just can't deny me. And like I said, you got to get guys like Brendan Schaub, Joe Rogan, Ariel, even though he's never really shown me any love, but
because they stink.
Because he sucks.
They
That's
stink.
why.
That's why, Ian. They stink. That's why.
I'm sorry. Did we just think out loud there? Was that me or you?
No, that was both of us.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I guess it was. Just saying.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm on your show telling my story. And,
don't worry.
Whatever.
We're
doing their thing.
We're your biggest fan, man, and I love that you joined us, and we want to get you back on in the near future. Your upcoming fights, and when you have an upcoming fight, we'd like to get you back on. I know you're getting your eye surgery. I thought you were getting it last week, but I want you to come back on.
Yeah.
I know your cousin, nice guy, and I'm friends with the family, so I'm happy that you joined us. Thank you for joining us, Ian. Tell the fans how they can find you on social media.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and on Ian Heinisch MMA. That's my Instagram and Twitter. Ian the Hurricane Heinisch is my fan page on Facebook. And check it out. We were actually, I'm just going to start. I'm going to talk, I'm going to have the fans ask me questions about prison, rehab, my faith, being a fugitive on the run, all these things. And I want to kind of just give little tidbits out. And I'm waiting for the COVID thing to be done in California to get on the Food Truck Diaries. And
we'll help you.
So tune into that.
We'll help you, man. We would love to help you.
Yeah, well, yeah, stay tuned. I'd love to get back on the show. I appreciate you guys having me. And I should have some fight news hopefully pretty soon. So we'll get back on and talk about that.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
You too. The great Ian Heinisch, man. Great insight of his UFC career and really where he is moving forward. I'd like to thank Ian Heinisch for joining us, Mike Basile for joining us. As you all know, remember you can reach us at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Up next, the Wise Guys. I want to apologize to them, but we had to get Ian on the show. We will be back in 2 weeks with our special guest. Until then, this is Errol Marks and Anthony Andriosi and Caged in MMA saying good night. We'll talk to you then. Good night, everybody.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.